Hi, Emmanuel here with T2S, which stands for Transformed to Succeed. In this video today, what I'm gonna share with you is steps that can help you set up an elastic load balancer so that you can distribute internet traffic load between two instances. You can use this for any service that you offer using AWS, so that you don't have to overload your only instance, which will resolve the issue of availability, meaning that your services will never be interrupted. And you can use 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 instances, depending on what kind of service or product that you sell to your customers. Then, without further ado, let's go first to our AWS console here. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video and fix whatever was going on. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is, first of all, you need to sign in to your console, management console. And I'm gonna sign in, which means that you need an account with AWS. The second thing that we need to do is to launch our instance. You see here we have no instance running. I can show you that we only have the ones that I was using before. We're gonna create new instances from the EC2 dashboard here. See here, you can do it from there. And then when you do that, then you can find this orange box here. I click on launch instance, and I'm gonna give it the name of ELB server, and I'll call it 1 because we're gonna need ELB server 1 and ELB server 2. But for the sake of saving time, what we need to do is we'll just create 2 instances. See, you go here, press 2. We will be using the Ubuntu operating system, or that's what we'll be using here. We keep the AMI here, free tier, eligible, the same. Don't change anything there. And when you come here, as I said, you don't change anything here. For the key pair, you can create any, or either a new key pair, and if you want to do that, you click here and then follow the prompts. Otherwise, if you have an existing key pair, you can go ahead and use that one. So I'm gonna use this one here. That's for Nginx. For network settings, make sure that you here I'm gonna just click edit. I'm gonna choose this one here, the default VPC. As of the subnet, I'll just stick with this one here. I'll do that. Make sure you also enable the public IP address. I click enable there. For firewall, which AWS refers to as security group, you can either create a new one or use an existing one. If you want to use an existing one, you're going to make sure that you open these 2 ports. You have port number 22 for SSH, it's open. And then the source, make sure it's 0000, meaning that anyone can SSH into this system for as long as they have the the key pair and stuff like that. To do that, it's not the best practice for you to use in the production environment. You don't do that. Then you need to add another security rule, which will be HTTP. And again, we don't use HTTP in production. We use HTTPS. But for the sake of practicing, we're going to use HTTP. So let's create this security group. I'm going to call it ELB server-SG. Then I'll give it a name here, security group for the ELB server, and that should be okay. Then next what I do, SSH is already set here. I'm gonna add a new security group rule. So I'll click here, and then I'll go to find HTTP. There it is, and automatically it's gonna fill this out for you. Protocol, it's TCP, and port range, it's 80. HTTPS, that's 443. Here we're gonna say use 0000 because we want to access this web application over the internet from anywhere. Okay, so we do that. Go down, keep going down here. The storage, we just keep it at 8 gigabytes, so that would be fine. And then now at the bottom here you see advanced details. I want you to click on the arrow here, and when you do that, you go to the bottom of the page here, and here we're gonna add a script. I will show you where to find the script. So I already have a script written for us here, and on this script, what I want to do is to update at the when we launch our EC2 instance or our two EC2 instances. So the script, what it's gonna do is to update first the repos and libraries and packages on that specific system, and then it's gonna install Nginx. Remember, we want to use Nginx. Next, it's gonna start the web application, Nginx, and it's gonna enable it, meaning that every time you turn your system on and then back off and then back on, this application will always be persistent, meaning it will always be running. The last thing that we want to do is to go into this directory, this location here, var www html. This is where you put your HTML files to display on your website. Okay, we will only use index.html, and then the content of this file will be this. This is the content. What you see here is just it's something that you use on the command line to say, hey, add this content, and it begins here. It begins here, and then it's gonna end there. What I want you to do is to copy this, and of course you'll find also this script on my GitHub repo, which I'll also include in the notes as part of this video. All right, so you copy this. I'm gonna copy, then go back to the console, and under, you see the section here, this is where we're gonna paste actually the script. You can do this way by, you can copy and paste, or you can just upload this as a file. But remember, it has to be it has to have an extension .sh, all right, so that it's a bash shell script. And then after doing that, you review here. You see the summary here. So you review. We want to create 2 instances, and this is the image that we have selected, and the type of the instance. We're gonna create a new security group. That's the storage, and we are happy with everything. Then click on launch instance. So I'm gonna click launch instance. Take some time, and you see here that there are 2 instances that have been created. If I go to my instances here, I refresh, you're gonna see 2 are pending here. So they're still pending, or 1 is running here. So I'm gonna click on that one here. While we're waiting for this, the next thing that we need to do is to create a load balancer. On the EC2 dashboard here, go down to the bottom here. You're gonna see load balancing. This is what we use. We start with the load balancer, then we're gonna attach a target group. Under the target group, it is in the target group where we wanna register the resources that we want to load balance. Begin with the load balancer. Click there. We're gonna create one. There are 3 types here: application load balancer, network load balancer, gateway load balancer. You can read a little bit of descriptions about each one, each of these, but we're gonna stick with the application load balancer. And I click here, create. So I'm gonna create, I'll give it a name. It's gonna be ELB server, and I'll say LB for load balancer. For the scheme, you're gonna have to go with internet facing, because that's what we need, right? Everything will be over the internet. The IP address type, we use IPv4. Network mapping, make sure that you use the correct or desired VPC. And mappings, choose at least, you see here, at least 2 availability zones. So I'm gonna go with 1A and 1B. Okay. Down here, you're gonna choose a security group. We are not using the default one. I'm gonna see if I can find what we created, this one. This is what we want. And then after choosing that, we have to open a listener. To open a listener, we have HTTP here, and that's exactly what we want. But you see here, you need to forward this to a to a target group, and we don't have any here. So to do that, just click on create target group. It's gonna take you to the next, to a separate window. What we want here, we want to use instances, right? So we have 2 instances, and that's why we're gonna select this one, because it says instances. Ignore the rest, and here we give it a name. We're gonna call it ELB server TG, standing for target group. And remember, the protocol should be the same with the one that you have on your Elastic Load Balancer. It's going to be HTTP. There are many that you can use here, but we're going to stick with HTTP and port 80. And sometimes you can customize the port here. It could still be HTTP, but you have a different port. But then you have to configure this port on your web application that you are hosting on your EC2 instance to make sure that this port is open if it's customized. And then we choose the VPC we're gonna choose that VPC, and for health checks, it's gonna depend on where you store your application. The web developer, may give you a different health check path, and that's what you have to include here. But in our case, we just leave it at the root, on the root level. So everything looks good, and after checking and making sure that everything looks good, then click next. And then here you can go ahead and register your targets. And remember, we created these 2 instances. We will go ahead and register them. We're gonna modify them in a moment. So we do that and then click on include as pending below. There you go. At the bottom here, click create target group. So that's done. Go back to the load balancer window here. And now if you click here, you're gonna have to refresh. You refresh, then click there. You see the target group we have just created. Click there. And you should be set. So go back down here and click create load balancer. So I've done that. Here it's gonna say provisioning, and this may take a little bit of time. I'll go ahead and pause the video here. Looking at the target group here we've just created here. So you go down here, you see we have 2 initial. You have to wait until when they turn the 0 healthy here changes to 2, meaning that everything has been set the way you wanted. Sometimes you may get unhealthy, then you have to look at the logs and see what's going on here. You get to this point, just keep refreshing until when you the 2 systems will be provisioned completely. So you're gonna give it some time. On your, you keep refreshing until when you see 2 healthy. Because we were talking about 2 systems here, they are healthy. And I went ahead to change this, and the way I did it was to go to the instance here. So I'm gonna do ELB to kind of like filter. So I went here, I just changed that to 2. Remember, it was just only 1. And the other thing that I want you to do is to go to this one, to this instance here, click on the ID. So when you click here, go to connect. You can do it over SSH client, but I'm gonna just do use EC2 instance connect here. Then click connect. I want to access the instance over the internet on the browser, and this connection takes some time, but not really like a long time. So what I want to do, I want to go to this place here, HTML. And when you go here, you're gonna see our index HTML. So if you cat that, you cat to see to look at the content. Remember this content from our script? Here it is. What I want to do is to change this to server 2. Remember, this is server 2 here. See? This is server 2. I don't know how I can show you that to you. Okay, let me forget about that. So let's, this is server 2. All right, just trust me here. I need to, okay, let me forget about that. So let's, this is server 2. All right, just trust me here. I need to, okay, let me forget about that. So let's, this is server 2. All right, just trust me here. I need to, okay, let me forget about that. So let's, this is server 2. All right, just I need to do this, bring it to 100. So this is server 2. So if you do this, we're talking about server 2. You see I've checked that. So server 2. And to do that, I'll just do a sudo, I'll do nano, and then the name of the file here, index. I copy, paste it there, then press enter. I'm gonna make it bigger again. I need to remember, make it smaller. And what I want to do is to change this to server number 2. Server number 2. And this is going to be server number 2. I save it and exit. And always verify if it is what you wanted. Okay, so I've got that. So now that I've done this, I can X out of this here and zoom out. So I'm gonna zoom out. So we've changed server 2 to be server 2, right? All right. Next thing that we need to do, is to go to our load balancer here, dashboard. So you go to your load balancer, and we need to find the DNS name. You see the DNS name here? This is it. The other thing that you can do here, let's start with server 1. You see this? So I copy that, put it in this window here, and then the port is 80. All right, the port is 80. Then I press enter. On the browser, you should be able to access your website and remove the S after HTTP. Make it HTTP. You remember the protocol that we're using, it's HTTP. So I press enter, and you see this is server number 1. So if you go to server number 2, it's gonna display server number 2. So let's click here, and then we use this IP address. We do the same. Port is 80, and make sure that you remove this is server number 2, this is server number 1. So you have server number 2 and server number 1. Server number 1, when you access that, this is what it's gonna show you, and server number 2, it's gonna show you this. All right, so now if you go back to your DNS, your load balancer dashboard, you find this DNS name, copy that, and then go back here. If you press enter, it should take you to one of the servers. Starting with server 2, if you refresh again, it takes you to server number 1. So you see, so it's distributing the traffic between these two instances, which means that your customers, they'll be seeing the same content, but doing so by using the Elastic Load Balancer, it distributes the traffic load so that one instance doesn't feel overwhelmed or loaded with a lot of traffic. And you can have like 10 or 20 instances hosting your web application because you have so many customers around the world. You can place those instances in different areas so that they're closer to your customers, and you can make this as simple as you want, or you can make it as complex as you want and still keep the cost low. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you. And at the end, remember to delete or clean up. Remember to clean up. So you go to your instances. I'm gonna select both here. Then I'm gonna terminate them because I don't need them. I was using them just for this demo. Yeah, this is how you do it. You set up an Elastic Load Balancer to distribute your internet traffic load between two instances or even more instances. And very simple to do. What I want to say is thank you so much for watching this video. God bless you. I hope to see you in the next one.